Welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. This is StatisFlix, data for movies. I'm Elizabeth, an actor, a data scientist, and your host, and each week I take a different movie and analyze its female characters on our metric this season, the FemmeMeter. Today's movie requires a level of sophistication, but my family is telling me that I will drive off subscribers if I do this episode in a British accent, which, frankly, is a shame. My posh is actually quite good. Though there have been 17 separate film and TV adaptations of the beloved Jane Austen novel, today's movie is the 2005 version of Pride and Prejudice, starring Keira Knightley and Matthew Macfadyen, focusing on our heroine, Elizabeth Bennet. I grew up on the BBC TV series of Pride and Prejudice, a 6-hour-long, very in-depth adaptation that I absolutely adored. But as much as I wanted to analyze that particular version, my data simply wouldn't let me. I've mentioned this in the comments before, but my model is specifically built for a 2-hour traditional movie. A lot of my metrics fall apart if they're utilized on other longer form series. For example, a character with 6 potential hours of screen time is going to have a lot more plot points than a character with 2 potential hours of screen time. This is something that I'm actively working on, so if you have suggestions for generalizable metrics, make sure to mention me in the comments. But back to our movie of today. Though there have been many critically acclaimed Elizabeths, including the BBC TV series, none so much as the Oscar-nominated performance of Keira Knightley. This role was a big step up for her, particularly in the judgmental film industry, coming from her roots in Bennett Like Beckham and the Pirates of the Caribbean series. This big step came with a dramatic increase in the FemmeMeter. Elizabeth Bennet scored a top-notch 89, our third highest score yet. One of the perks of movies that are based on books is that the plot is number 1, already written, and number 2, already successful. It means that the director and screenwriter have a lot of creative freedom to bring out the best in the book. As a Jane Austen character specifically, Elizabeth immediately passes the Bechdel test and receives full marks on billing, as well as an extra 5 for Empower. We also have our closest to perfect screen time score yet, with just half a point lost, and of course, an extra 10 for advanced career. Like I mentioned earlier, this project is arguably Knightley's most career-impacting role, earning her first Oscar nomination and introducing her to other big-budget, more challenging projects like The Imitation Game, Atonement, and Anna Karenina. Finally, we get to the kicker, agency. If you've watched my videos before, you'll know that we measure a character's agency score out of 5, where you gain a point by passing each of our thresholds. The first threshold, for example, is the bag of flour threshold, which we measure by asking, if you replace this character with a bag of flour, would the plot stay the same? Obviously, if the answer is yes, that character gets a 0 for agency. But this gets a little trickier when you consider a period piece like Pride and Prejudice. To what extent should I be understanding the context when assessing the agency score? And to what extent should I be matching that context to real life? I ask these questions because multiple critics of the 2005 Pride and Prejudice claim that there are multiple points within the story that do not match real life. They argue that this blending of historical and modern social norms makes Elizabeth a less powerful character. One of my favorite authors, Roxane Gay, does an excellent piece on false contextualization and how it hurts characters within stories. I ended up deciding that because this movie is based on a book by someone who lived and experienced that time period, the context should be the deciding factor on agency. If the plot moves, the agency score does too. So, to recap, Elizabeth, the heroine of the 2005 Pride and Prejudice, scores a wonderful 89. If you like this episode, one way you could really help me out as a small creator is by liking this video, commenting your favorite part, and subscribing to my channel with notifications. This helps YouTube identify me as an emerging creator, and my videos get shown to more people. Help me out! See you next time.